Starting. We're live.
Hi, YouTube.
What a
YouTube
start.
people. Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, 8 people that watch this on YouTube.
I am Job.
Yes, appreciate you tuning in. Aldo's going to tweet out the link here, and then we're going to get started on the show here for Friday, June 29th. Got a great show for you. We're going to talk Yu Darvish, Javi Baez. We're going to talk White Sox down on the farm. Talk about today's weird loss to the Twins. I'm going to say weird because I don't want to use other words. And some trade deadline fun, if you will. So it's going to be a great show. Please, we appreciate you watching on YouTube, but as always, make sure you're subscribing, rate, and reviewing the show on iTunes or Google Play, or throw us a like on SoundCloud. However you're listening to this, just make sure you're showing some love. We greatly appreciate it. With that being said, let me make sure I'm recording, and I'm recording. And so that's all set. Let me get my statistics up because, you know, I'm a very stat-friendly guy.
Nerd.
Oh, big time. I just like knowing what I'm talking about somewhat. Usually I don't, and that's just not a lot. All right, let me retweet this. And we have been retweeted. And away we go. You guys ready?
Let's go. I was also going to ask, do we ever not talk about Javi Baez? But I just cut you off. Go ahead.
The answer is no. And we're going to talk about why the answer is no. All right, ready? Here we go. What's going on, everybody? It's Friday, June 29th. Hopefully you're not melting and staying cool out there in the 100-degree Chicago. You have found the Pinwheels and Ivy Podcast. I am your host, Matt Zawoski. They call me Zoe. And with me, as always, is the man who will trade Chris Bryant, Aldo Soto.
I would, but just for one guy. And I'll get into it, but I would.
I'm just going after it.
Do you just want to do this right now? We'll do it right now. We'll do it next hour on Chris Bryant being traded.
Just days. We can do it for days.
And that other voice you're hearing is our very own award-winning, because he was the only guy nominated in the category, journalist, Matt Anuko. They call him Nuke. What's up, buddy?
What's up? This is the person that I would trade Michael Kopech for.
Oh.
It's like, I'm just kidding. I would never do that. But there was another one I would do.
If you aren't on the edge of your seat already, you don't check your pulse because you might not be breathing. But we have a great show for you today. It's the dog days of summer. We're getting up to it. We're rolling up to the All-Star break here. Make sure you go and vote Abreu a million times. Cubs, I don't have to tell you guys because those guys are all going to make the team anyways. But vote Abreu. He's still in the lead. But we got a great show. We're going to actually start it off talking about the Chicago Cubs. There's been some weird hot takes about Yu Darvish. We're going to discuss where we're at. We're going to discuss where we're at with him. And huge shocker, we're going to talk about Javier Baez. I don't know if you guys have heard about him. He's pretty good. He's having a good year. And he is the best tagger in Major League Baseball. Then we're going to flip it over to the Pinwheels part of the show, the South Side, and our own Big J Journo over there talk to Chris Getz about what's going on down on the farm. So he's going to tell us a little bit about that conversation, and we're going to talk about, you know, who's making noise outside of the big two of Eloy and Mr. Kopech. Then we're going to get into our weekly pickle. It's going to be a little bit different this week. The trade deadline coming up in just about a month. We're going to go round table on trades that we think need to be done. And we're going to talk about the best player to ever play baseball and what it would take to get him in the city of big shoulders. And then we're going to close it out with our last bats. So with all that being said, huge show, fun show. Let's tap this keg. All right, well, got to do this before we get started. Just a reminder to make sure that you are subscribing, leaving us a 5-star review, or 5-star rating and a review on iTunes or Google Play. Throw us a like on SoundCloud. Share the podcast out on Twitter. Any love is greatly appreciated. And trust me, we are taking notice. There's a list. We have it hanging up in the back. You can't see it. But
we'll rate their reviews. Like, it can be a 5-star review too. So
what do you think about that? We'll just flip the script on you right away. Keep it posted. We are going to be doing a pretty big giveaway after the 4th of July. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But make sure, again, subscribe, rate, review. And as always, this show is brought to you by Sports Mockery. Make sure you're downloading the app and enabling push notifications so you can make sure you get all the breaking news as it happens, especially with all the free agent periods opening up in the NBA and NHL and the trade deadline coming up here in baseball. You're going to want to get those notifications to be the first to know what's going on. So, all right, that is the contractual stuff that's out of the way. So let's get into the actual baseball, and let's start with, I mean, we all might want to put on like fireman suits for this show because
it's hot takes. It's coming in hot.
I know the takes that are coming later on when we get to the trade stuff, but we're coming out of the gate really hot with, well, it's the cover of the Chicago Sun-Times. It's a picture of Yu Darvish with an insert picture of Derrick Rose. And
I can't believe they beat it. How did we not come up with this?
I don't know. We
took our Joe Madden to White Sox managing now.
Couldn't believe it.
This is on us. We should have done it first.
Shout out Chicago Sun-Times. You are obviously big listeners of the show, so we appreciate it. But next time, leave a review. But yeah, so Yu Darvish, big picture of you, and he's got like he's staring off into the distance look.
Just looking sad.
Yeah, and the insert picture is Derrick Rose. That, in Chicago language, is like the worst thing you could say about a current player. Because Derrick Rose might be a nice guy. Everybody loves the story. Chicago born and bred, but just a career that has been just laden with injuries, horrible sound bites, his damn brother getting in the way of everything.
The sex belt,
the Skittles, whatever was going on with that, and the weird orgy stuff. A crazy, just not a career you want to be compared to, even though the guy did win an MVP. The MVP in Derrick Rose's career is almost like a sub note at this point because of all the other shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's just unfortunate. That hurt because, I mean, Yu Darvish is what, 3 months into his Cubs career?
And people want to bail on him. Well, I mean, it's not surprised they want to bail on Moncada.
No, I mean,
200 at bats.
Well, not this week. This week. Go ahead. Back to you.
Keep your Moncada boner in your pants. Well, I mean, it just sucks. The biggest news that, like, screw this sometimes. Screw Rick Morris. That was just always throwing out garbage every fucking story. The bigger news, though, was that you had a rehab start on Monday with the South Bend Cubs. He went 5 innings. He looked pretty good. But after that game, he said how he didn't know if his arm was really feeling that well or not. He didn't know if it was soreness or if it was something more. The reason that he went on the DL was as a reminder, he went on the DL with the triceps injury. And that was back in May, like May 26th, I think. So it's been a month. At that time, everybody was freaking out because the last time he had a triceps injury, it led to Tommy John surgery with the Rangers.
People forget.
Yep, in 2015. So, but he had an MRI, no damage. He's been throwing bullpen sessions. He had this rehab start. The Cubs were hoping that he'd come back this weekend against the Twins. He throws another bullpen session in LA on Thursday. Not good. I'll admit it. When I first saw the update, I'm like, not good. The update was the literal update from like every Cubs reporter was the bullpen session was not good. That was the first line from every reporter. Joe Madden says bullpen session did not go well. So, like 5 minutes later, we learned that he felt some pain again. Not great. No. Still not panicking, but not great. So he's going to be reevaluated back in Chicago on Friday. It just, I mean, it sucks. He has a 4.95 ERA in his first 11 starts with the Cubs.
Yeah, not good.
This could be just if he's out for the year, like that's not going to fucking help.
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather? I don't know how long his contract is, but his first year of his contract, wouldn't you rather have him come back fully healthy?
Well, the thing is, like, what if this? The only like
this is
I'm definitely not on the side. Yeah, I'm definitely not on the side of this is a complete bust and like Theo's an idiot for signing Yu Darvish. Like he was the top guy in free agency. The Cubs, it was a good move. Whoever says it wasn't stupid. But if like this becomes an injury thing where like next year it's like something else pops up, like it's related to the triceps thing again, like you're gonna be like, well, that kind of really sucks. And like, once in a while, you're gonna have a bad contract. The Cubs, like I guess already kind of have one with Jason Hayward, even though he's balling out right now. Shout out to Jason Hayward for being great this year. But
now, what about? I mean, but doesn't all right? So let's say let's play this out, Aldo. Let's say they shut him down. They just want to be cautious. They want to make sure that it's completely healed before they come back. All right. Mm-hmm. Cubs are 2.5 games out. Who can they bring up from AAA? Do they have anybody that can fill that spot or has been filled? I mean, like they have. I mean, if they get rid of Tyler Chatwood, they and let Mike Montgomery go, right?
Everyone's favorite pitcher, Tyler Chatwood, coming back. He missed his last start because he had the birth of his kid, so he missed his last start.
Fake.
They had and with all the stuff moving, and then they had guys going on short rest, so they had to move back Lester's start. They brought up Dwayne Underwood. He made his MLB debut against the Dodgers. Tough game. Right. He only gave up 1 run in like 4 innings.
So are they really in trouble? I mean, like, of course, if you can have Yu Darvish or not or not have him, of course.
Right, so before everyone jumps off, the original timetable for Yu Darvish was going to be like, he's going to come back after the All-Star break. And right now, at this point, we still don't know what the reevaluation says or like what they find in there. But right now, he could still be like
he's still on pace.
Like he could still be on, even if they shut him down, because like they're like, he could come back like this weekend. But even if that's not the case, he could. Like it doesn't sound good, obviously, that he felt pain after a bullpen session, but he could come back next week, maybe.
If I'm the
Cubs, still be ahead of schedule.
And he'd still be he'd still be ahead of schedule.
If I'm the Cubs, I'm shutting him down to at least the All-Star.
So would I. I wrote about that on Thursday. Just
as like Nuke said, it's not like you're diving into the basement of the division. You're 2.5 games back from a Milwaukee team that you're clearly better than, and you're doing this without him right now. So what does it hurt? We're not even at the All-Star game yet. So shut him down for a month. Let him take the All-Star break. Come second half of the season. Now you have a healthy. He's still you freaking Darvish.
Plus they have Bob Gibson. So
and they have Bob Gibson. You can't forget that. And
Montgomery, pretty good.
And they're doing this in spite of having Tyler Chatwood in.
Yes. And so you rest him up, bring him back after the All-Star break, and then second half of the season you roll. You take that momentum into the playoffs, see what happens then. There's no way you can convince me right now that
do not hit the panic button.
It's a good idea to bring Yu Darvish back before the All-Star break.
And besides, Baez is just going to put the whole team on his shoulder. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets out there after a tag and goes up and tries to pitch.
I want to see Baez hopefully it comes like after like a 20-game winning streak and like the Cubs are losing a blowout game. But I like when a position player comes in, I want to see Baez. Like I want to see him go out there pitch left-handed just because he's a natural left-hander.
I would be less surprised if he went up there and pitched than almost anything else in baseball.
I'm not shaking my head at the fact that you guys want to see Javier Baez pitch. I'm just shaking my head at how good of a goddamn Big J journo you are, Nuke. That transition was fantastic into the Yu Darvish to Javi Baez. That was, man.
Transition.
That was a pro. That was pretty
I have did many a podcast, and that was one of the smoothest transitions I've seen into a different topic. Well, since you brought it up, talk about Javier Baez.
Proceed.
And I'm just going to throw this out there because me and Aldo were talking pre-show about that until this changes, I might bring it up every show. But he currently has 12 walks to 16 home runs.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring up how he's the best tagger in the world. Okay.
Well, if you don't know that,
we haven't established that yet.
You know what?
We have to remind everyone every show.
We still have to litigate that one out, okay?
There should be a photograph. He'll be the first GIF in Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. It'll just be a GIF of Javier Baez tagging someone at second up on the wall.
And would that not be apropos?
I don't know what that means. Don't be time me with the big word. Don't be time me with your big words, Snook. I'll give you the transition was good. Don't you be big timing me with. See, you're using words I don't understand, and that confuses me. So that makes me angry.
Get out of dictionaries, though. Just short for appropriate.
Anyways, GIF Javier Baez on the wall, Baseball Hall of Fame. First GIF ever in the Hall of Fame.
Him juggling gum, right?
Juggling gum and tagging people and then pointing at the camera and winking.
I have an even better take. So when are we going to start the Javier Baez for MVP talks?
Right.
Let's get it going.
We just did, and I can't wait till this is on the cover of the Sun Times in 3 days. But
Sunday edition. That's gonna be the tough story.
It's really not that far fetched. His line 279, 318, 558. He's got 16 home runs with 56 RBIs. And again, this is a month before the All-Star break. Like, this is pretty early still in the season if you really good.
So I think this ties into the age-old question in baseball: can a pitcher get MVP? And for different reasons, because 279 is not going to get you MVP.
Oh, as a batting average, no, it's not.
Do you agree? Yeah, but 56 and 16. If you're starting to look at if he contributes to his team on a late run or carries his team because you don't have Yu Darvish. Too. And the defense can't be ignored, but you usually don't get. We all know that they usually don't take that into account too much.
That's true.
But if he goes 115, 120, and 32,
like he already has 16 home runs.
That's what I'm saying.
Well on his way to 30 home runs.
Yeah,
like he can get to 100. Yeah, okay.
He's got 13 stolen bases too, so don't count that out.
Right.
All right. So Javier Baez is gonna have to go on a ridiculous run to actually be in.
Yeah. Let's bring it back down. I'm
not gonna be played homer here. I'm not Hawk. Matt Davidson isn't hitting 50 home runs this year, but
best hitter in baseball.
Yes.
But it's just like last year when Wilson Contreras had that run during the summer before he hurt his hamstring, where he was carrying the team. There's talks, Wilson Contreras can be in the MVP discussion, and you can say the same thing about Baez this year. The players ahead of him and the National surprise. There's a lot of good players in the National League. Freddie Freeman right now is having an awesome year. He's probably the front runner. Lorenzo Cain for the Brewers, he's been pretty damn good too. Joey Votto always probably under the same as Mike Trout, pretty underrated guy, just on a crappy team. Yep. But let's not the media is going to get caught up in the hype. The Cubs are going to be down the stretch. They're going to be in the playoff picture. If Baez continues to just make these highlight plays, hit grand slams on national TV,
right,
media members are going to get swept up in the hype.
And another thing that very well for Baez outside of numbers is he's an extremely marketable personality, and Major League Baseball and in the age we live in with we without even looking, all three of us just rifled off 4 gifs of Javier Baez that everyone uses all the time. And he's very marketable. He's very energetic. He brings huge energy. He knows where the camera's at. He's marketable. So
he's fun. He's what baseball needs. It's just fun.
But that, I think,
take it easy, you.
that with the production that he's putting out on the field is going to keep him in that conversation just for that reason. I mean, first half MVP, it's a long season left, a lot of games left. Can he keep this up? We'll see. I have my doubts.
And it's the thing, and it's how, and the same thing with Contreras last year. Like this year, Bryant's been hurt. Like he's been dealing with a shoulder sprain or something for a month, and he's been crappy since the end of May. Anthony Rizzo missed 10 days in April, and he sucked for 7 weeks of the season. And during both times, the one guy who's kept the Cubs offense going at least a little bit has been Baez.
Yes.
I know that, and that's why he's in. That's why it's even become kind of a conversation. I feel like I saw somebody take this take on Twitter somewhere this week. So that's why Adam. I was like, it was probably Adam. Yeah. But it's not crazy. It's not a crazy idea. And, who did, and this is why I bring it back to pitching. Felix Hernandez won the Cy Young.
In a losing record.
With a losing record, and his team was in last place. How do you win?
We can have that topic as a weekly pickle one day, because I do have pretty strong feelings about pitchers winning MVP. They shouldn't. But
who was the last one? Verlander?
Verlander. Yes. And but he was dominant, right?
Yeah, but he's dominant once every 5 games.
But isn't that but I mean, I think I don't know, isn't Cy Young is the MVP of pitchers. So they have their
right. It was I mean, Cy Young Gold, yeah. But MVP, if you are that guy every 5th day, and even down, all right, so here's probably the one scenario where it has to happen, or it can happen. You got to take your team to the World Series.
Oh, yes.
Or Ohtani, but that's clearly.
But postseason doesn't. Okay, that's the other thing. I hate. Do you guys hate how in sports they take out the anything postseason? That doesn't count towards the voting. I hate that.
Because if you're really an MVP, when do MVPs show up? You show up in the playoffs.
Here's the thing: I hate it and I don't hate it because, in baseball, in basketball it's only 5 guys on the court. Baseball and football, there's you have 9 guys and 11 guys, so it's tougher because you can be the best player on your team, but your team could be garbage, and they're not gonna Mike Trout with the Angels.
Right.
So I get that part, but if overall you have a great season. And then you just ball out and lead your team to a World Series, that should count more towards something else too.
That opens up the conversation too. Is what is your definition of an MVP? Is it a guy like Mike Trout, where if you take Mike Trout off the Angels, they might win 5 games? But you know what I mean?
True,
he brings the most value to his team, or is it the best guy on the best team? You know what I mean?
That's the only scenario where I think that you could do a pitcher. And he has to carry you like Schilling did with the Red Sox back in 2004, which I don't even think he was really that great. But a Max Scherzer, a guy that goes out every 5th day and takes you all the way to the playoffs and then takes you through the playoffs and then delivers a World Series, then you could possibly say, and I mean dominant. I mean like Doc Holliday throwing a no-no in the in the playoffs, that kind of stuff. So. Because I agree, because you can be a valuable player. You can be the most valuable player every 5th day.
Right. And I'm fully in the camp of the Cy Young is the pitching MVP, and the MVP needs to be an everyday player.
Right. Because no pitcher on earth is better than Mike Trout.
No one's better than Mike Trout.
And Mike Trout should win the MVP every single year.
Yes. They shouldn't even have. They should do the ceremony before the season even starts.
They should just give it to him, and then if he doesn't do half of what he's supposed to do, then he has to give it back.
Yeah, all right, whatever. It's like the green jacket.
Why did you disappoint us, Mike? Michael.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is I can't wait until Baez wins MVP, NLDS MVP, NLCS MVP, and World Series MVP. So fun times ahead.
That would mean more to him than a regular season MVP.
No. I forgot to bring this up. You know what would mean more? If he won the home run derby, which he should be in the home run derby. He's the perfect guy for it.
Well, he has the swing.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone's it's gonna mess up his swing. Have you seen Javier Baez play baseball?
Avi would see 10 pitches and get 10 outs. He wouldn't take a pitch. He wouldn't.
Well, no, they changed the format. It's just you just get like what 2 minutes or something or 3 minutes.
Oh yeah.
You get as many swings. No, the thing is he just get tired after his first 3 swings because he fucking put everything behind it.
He has 12 walks all season.
I would love to see how many pitches has he taken?
Not a lot.
Well,
yeah,
that's the thing. He has 12 walks. I think like 6 of them have come in the past 2 weeks.
He is literally my guy in a video game. I don't take pitches.
You know, did you guys ever play that MLB Slugfest game with like Jim Edmonds was the cover guy?
Yeah,
That's Javier Baez is that video game come to life.
Yeah. It's made to hit.
But back to your point here, although I don't think there's ever been a player molded more perfectly for the home run derby than 2018 Javier Baez. Basically, he plays home run derby every game.
That he's going to be an all-star. He can't. I think he's second in voting behind Ozzy Albies from the Braves. Because, like, have you seen those votes? By the way, like, there's like 1 billion Atlanta Braves fans apparently.
That's why I hate I hate the fan voting. I mean, I think it should be an element. And is it, or is it's not the end all be all, right? Like the fans vote, and then
I think the fans still vote the starters, and then the managers or the manager
fill out the rest of the roster.
And I think players too. I think the players get a vote.
First of all, let's be realistic. It's all 100% horse shit.
Well,
they're like, yeah, okay, fans, good job, sweet vote. Yay! All right, here's your all-star.
Aren't you injured, Tyler?
Yes. Yeah.
Don't you feel pain?
Yeah. Fan votes in every sport, especially after the NHL ruined it by having John Scott be a captain.
That was just the big. Well, that was the fans giving. Wasn't that just the fans giving a big FU to the whole voting process?
Yeah, it was hockey fans like myself. Basically, we're just like, yeah, we're going to show you how stupid fan voting is. We're going to take a guy who looks like Bambi learning how to walk when he ice skates, and we're going to make him a captain of an all-star team. Suck on that one.
Well, I mean, we got that gif of him putting Bieber on the board, so that was good, right? Oh, God. Before we move on to the White Sox, here's the quick stat of the week, and it's Javier Baez. Like,
yep.
So okay, so we're maybe getting
tags.
Maybe we're going a little overboard with the MVP talks, but you can certainly make the argument that he's been the MVP of the Cubs. And you can make that argument because he basically leads them in every single stat. So he leads them in OPS at 885. He has a 562 slugging percentage, 16 home runs, 57 RBIs. He has 80 hits. He has the most runs scored on the team with 49, 6 triples. I think I told Zoe before we started recording that I think it was like in the middle of May, he still had more extra base hits than singles, like combined in the season. And his WAR, he has a 2.4 F WAR, which is better than Chris Bryant right now. So he's number 1 on the Cubs. Just balling.
And as of 2 days, so as of this week, the fan vote for second base in the NFL had Ozzy Albies of the Braves at 1.4 million and Javi Baez at 1.1 million.
Just think how crazy it is. Like, think of how many Cubs fans there are.
Yeah.
But there's somehow Ozzy Albies has been great. He fucking killed the Cubs when they played them.
He's very good, but he's a rookie and he's not. Yeah. He's not Javi Baez. And you know what? One thing to add to your stat line that you just pushed out. The last thing to develop is the power tool in a player. And so maybe this isn't an anomaly. No, but it's more consistent now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the contact is because like his first when he first came up in 2014, he came up in August. They played him every day, and he struck out 41% of the time.
Dude,
he struck out 95 times in 52 games.
It was rough.
Who is voting for the Atlanta Braves?
What did I tell you? They have bots or something.
Right now, they have a player in the top 3 of every position.
Yeah. They're like Kansas City Royals fans from like a year ago or 2 years ago when they like voted everyone in 2.
But they are in first place and they do have Freeman.
No, I get, but I mean, real quick, Kurt Suzuki is number 3 at catcher. Freeman number 1 at first base. Albies is number 1 at second base.
Don't tell me Dansby Swanson is anywhere near.
Camargo is number 3 at third
Don't
base.
they have Acuna in the outfield, like top 3 too?
Dansby Swanson is currently in second place at shortstop. And then outfield, Nick Martinez is number 1, and Ronald Acuna Jr. is number 5, and then Incarte is number
Ciarte.
Yep, only got that one kind of wrong. Number 6.
That's close.
You do better with consonants in hockey.
6.
CZYINP.
Yeah, give me the Russians all day. I'll pronounce it like nothing. But that's wild to me. I was not aware that the Atlanta Braves have voting.
The Braves have Russian bots just voting for the players.
It's all fake news.
Real quick, Atlanta Braves, Ted Turner. Saying, this is why you got to watch the video so you can see my awesome pointing of connecting to the dots.
I was going to say, connecting the dots. There it is.
Yep, there it is. But that's wild. I didn't know that. That's crazy. So let's go to the south side. Let's
trade bias to the White Sox.
Let's go to the farm.
Remember when White Sox fans hated that?
Yeah.
Now they have a crappier version, Yohan Moncada. I kid. I love Yohan. I love Yohan more than like a lot of White Sox fans.
That is true. That is absolutely true.
So, White Sox.
He's just not as good as Bias.
As we record this, the White Sox lost to the Minnesota Twins by walking in the game-winning run in extra innings. So that was fun. Big story out of the game outside of that awesome ending was Tim Anderson getting tossed in the 11th after being called out trying to steal. And that was just kind of stupid. I mean,
they lost their DH.
Yeah. I mean, and then the injury bug hit the south side, but thank God it was not as bad as it looked because the play looked terrible.
I thought it was ACL or something.
Yeah.
So Yolmer barreled into the first baseman and landed weird on first base. And reports out of that is it's just a contusion. For all you non-fancy folks, it's a bruise. He'll be okay. I'm one of the non-fancy folks. So Yolmer, hopefully he gets better soon. And before we dive into the White Sox talk real quick, I just want to spend a special shout out from the Pinwheels and Ivy crew to the boys at Section 108. The 108ing guys are one, hilarious. 2, they've started a movement on Twitter with people taking pictures of saying I'm 108ing. And 3, Beefloaf, if you're listening, 1, you have a fantastic name, and 2, just keep doing what you guys are doing because the Sunday soaks and all that stuff are friggin' hilarious. So shout out to Section 1, the 108 guys. You guys are very entertaining.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Hilarious.
Hopefully we'll get some video. I know where you guys are at your tailgates. I just never get there in time, but I've seen your spot. I know where you're at. We'll make it over there. We'll do a little Pinwheels and Ivy.
Now you just sound like a stalker. So.
Well, dude, they post a picture of it, dude. It's not hard. They're at the grass park. But
you just sounded like you're like watching them from across the parking lot. Like I know where you are.
See everything, although. See everything.
See everything.
All right. Anyways, so back to real baseball here. So
it was a disaster today.
Yeah, it was bad. I don't even want to really get into it.
We had an injury to the most fun player on the south side.
Yolmer.
Tim Anderson got tossed.
Stupid tossed.
Where like just immature, dumb temper tantrum. Yeah. And we walked in the winning run.
After Charlie Tilson dropped the ball.
After Charlie Tilson drops the ball.
Yeah.
And this all happened in the last 3 innings of the game, which were extras, right?
Yep.
I hate to say it.
Go ahead.
I hate to say it, but now that Trace is down in Charlotte, Tilson is the new Trace.
He's got almost 300.
Yeah, no, Adam Engel is the new Trace.
Adam Engel.
like we said before we started recording, for some weird reason, White Sox fans fall in love with these like hustle guys. I actually blame Aaron Rowland.
Aaron Rowland?
Everyone wants to make these guys out to be Scotty Pods because they're fast and they're play center field. No, they're just bad.
Yeah,
He has 85 at bats. He's batting .294 with 2 stolen bases. I like the kid.
He's actually been good though this time.
He's been all right. Yeah,
he got a lot of injuries and everything like that, and I've always rooted for him. I was actually kind of happy that when they got him from St. Louis, get him out of that jort-filled dump. But
well, his White Sox career was like pretty crappy to start. He got injured his first game.
Yeah, first game injuries. His fielding, bro. It's just.
I don't know if it's that consistent though, is it? I mean, he was a center
This
fielder.
is the first time that I've seen him like screw up.
I don't know if he's so much of a liability out there. Today he was, obviously.
Right.
And he actually looked pretty bad on a few of the balls I saw where he went. I mean, he like fundamentally sound like darted back to the wall and all of a sudden he's sprinting forward to get underneath of it. It's like right where he started. There's like 30, 40 yards in front of him.
Mm-hmm. He's rocking a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio right now too.
But yeah. I mean, but it's early, It's early, and he's trying to figure it out. And I'm making all the excuses for him. I think I don't know if any of the other, if you guys watch it this way or if other White Sox fans watch it this way. I watch it as like, is he going to get hurt? Like literally every step he takes, I'm like, is he going to get hurt?
I agree.
Like, oh, he didn't get hurt. Yay, clap.
Yes.
Good job.
Yeah. I mean, I know we talked about it earlier, but it was D Rose came back every time he went up for a layup. You're like,
oh, he didn't get hurt. Please don't let him back down.
Ooh, he's running. All right. He's running. But I agree. Should he start to stay on the south side? I mean, and for a guy that was his top attribute was speed.
Exactly.
2 major injuries to your wheels. Not going to bode well. I'm happy to see him getting this kind of last shot, but in the back of my mind, sorry, Charlie, if you listen, but you're basically a placeholder right now for what's coming up. And
I mean, he's got an opportunity.
Yes.
And that's what he needs, and that's what's good.
Yes.
It's go better than seeing Trace Thompson. So
same with Adam Engel. Because we know that, sometimes players don't pan out, prospects don't pan out. But Eloy he's knocking at the door.
Oh, that guy's gonna be
good. And Lewis Robert is even more impressive.
It blows my mind how fast that man is.
And for anybody that is on Twitter and was paying attention, I think it was maybe Monday or Tuesday night when the Dash won 19-2 and Robert got hit in the foot. I keep wanting to put that Latin flair on it. Robert got hit in the foot and Twitter was buzzing. It was like, why is he out? He's injured. Oh my God, what's happening? And it was like, everybody take a break and take a deep breath. And we actually got to the bottom of it and found out that he was just taken out as a manager's decision. I mean, they were up 10-2, I think, when he came out. So. What's that?
I have a theory on that. I think he was hurt. I think it was like a yo-yo type deal.
What do you mean?
Well, he got benched?
Yeah, and they don't want to say it because
I didn't watch the game. What happened? What did you see?
It's just I don't know. I don't really have, but he got taken. It could have just been purely precautionary, whatever. But he's very, very, very active on Instagram. The man.
Oh, did we miss something?
You know what, Zoe? Even if you just completely made that up, I love it. It's going to be on the Sun Times in 2 weeks.
Right.
Luis Robert, distraction.
The night that happened, he posted a whole bunch of pictures of Cuba.
Homesick?
I think he might have just had a little attitude going.
Is he about to go back to Cuba? He's just going to abandon?
He was just pissed off that it happened, and that doesn't. And he just started thinking about it's weird. It all correlates perfectly. I know I have my tinfoil hat on right now, but I'm just saying he started posting all these pictures of It looks like I think it's his mom or his aunt and like his cousins back in Cuba, brothers, sisters, and he posted that night. So I don't know.
This goes back to you, Dirge. Like fans want these players to be more open and more honest, and then when they are, like, everyone starts freaking out. Well, look at you, Zoe. You're freaking out.
You can't get more open than Lou Bob is on Instagram. I know what that man eats for lunch like every day, and he's a big pizza fan, by the way. Huge pizza guy.
You know, step 1 to step 3 of how he does his hair too.
Oh God.
Remember in the winter when he almost lopped off his hoof with a drone? I
also know they need to pay that man big money when he finally makes it to the show. I know he got a huge deal to come over to the White Sox from Cuba, but apparently he can't afford shirts.
I mean, so if you had a body like that,
that's true.
You wouldn't own a shirt.
That's right.
Bane.
But
with the Bane mask.
But on the field, yeah, he always wears that mask. But on the field, the video that's coming out of him now that he's playing in Winston-Salem,
impressive.
Shit, is he fast?
He is fast. Good. You literally question yourself, like, is that in fast forward? Because his legs are motoring.
The video of him beating out an infield single that's been circulating on Twitter, that Nuki nailed it, because it's like I had to check, like, did I hit fast forward on this? Like, that should not happen.
That's the way I felt watching him hit his triple, going around first. He just kicks it into another gear, and he's quick. And that's what they said about Mike Trout. It was that kind of speed with Mike Trout. Mm-hmm. He used to run like Ichiro fast to first, and out of the right side, like 3/8, 3/4, I think. Mm-hmm. I could be making that up, but like speed that nobody has.
Yep, and we've yet to see. He hasn't really showcased the arm yet.
No,
we've heard about this cannon, and I've seen some videos. But I mean, when you're watching a video and there's like 4 chickens in the background, like you're like, all right, like, is this guy fast that he's throwing out, or is this like someone's cousin George that they picked up to play third base because they needed a guy? But
Chris Getz this week talked about him a little bit and kind of like the game-changing ability that he has with his glove in center field. And that really is what it comes down to, his legs. He can run down anything.
See, well, what Nuke is alluding to is phone conversation with what's Getz's official title?
He's the player development, head of player development.
And so obviously he talked about Lou Bob. What other names came up in the conversation?
Blake Rutherford was a big one. Blake Rutherford, he was brought over to from the Yankees in that big package at the trade deadline last year. Mm-hmm. And it was his first full season of professional baseball last year. I think he was a 2016 first round pick. And there's, there was a lot of hype around him because he was kind of like this super polished, super like meticulous player that like really curated each part of his game, every skill that he had. And he didn't do too well last year. Not well at all. This year, he's really developing well. And that's something that we heard about last year. Actually, on the first, there was another call with Chris Getz about 2 months ago, right at around the beginning of the season. And that was a question where Rutherford came up again and was like, what do you expect to see from him? And Getz was just, telling everybody to kind of calm down and let this kid play his second full season of baseball and just get used to playing this many games in this format and blah, blah, blah. And now he's at it. He's feeling it. He's starting to really hit well down in Winston-Salem. And Getz told him, kind of expressed his exit velocity. So he threw out a few of these, these terms, and Getz believes he has the highest average exit velocity on the team, possibly in the organization, I believe. I don't know. I could be lying about that, but he said definitely in the league. And he might have one of the highest exit velocities in the league. And he's not a big burly guy. He's not your typical, like what you would design a power hitter to look like, but he's long, he's lanky. He's got some of those, physical attributes that kind of like create these long levers and fulcrums and power points and all that.
6'3", 195.
Right, but not 6'3", 250.
Right.
Where, you know, he's not Daniel Polka, you know, where the guy's just up there hell.
I was about to bring him up, just knocking the ball really hard.
Yeah.
Exit velocities. Let's polka, baby.
Let's polka. But Rutherford was one of those names that he brought up. I tried to. Sarah, are we going to have this conversation now about Getz? I guess we're already doing it. So
yeah, just quick, just names you brought up, people, you know, to look out for.
So
like Rutherford, a great example. He
mentioned Laz Rivera as a young quality defender, kind of a big name defender. He's a middle infielder down at Kannapolis, and he's young. He mentioned that he was a guy, or no, I'm sorry, that's Luis Curbelo who I'm talking about. Luis Curbelo is a middle infielder. Laz Rivera is a middle infielder too, but said he's a plus glove, you know, doing things really well. Luis Curbelo is doing well with Kannapolis. And I tried to get a little bit more insight on what a September call-up means. Because, you know, going in and just saying, hey, when's Michael Kopech going to be up? Hey, when's Eloy going to be up? It's like, you know, he's not going to tell us that. And he's just going to kind of dance around it. So I tried to get an idea of what a September call-up means and whether it kind of, his answer fit into the narrative of the way the seasons are playing out for Eloy and Kopech. So I've been on record and I've said Eloy's not coming up this year. I know. I don't know. I don't know if he's coming up.
Who is this man?
But the reason I asked about this whole September call-up thing is more for Kopech because his innings are climbing. He's probably right on track, about 75 innings this year. He pitched 130 whatever last year. So you're probably going to see him get the 150. They might shut him down around 155, which could give him like an extra start. But I would say it's got to stay under 160. So if it gets to a point, now I'm also on record saying that he had to take his lumps at AAA. So He did. He's had those now. And and I think I said it last week, if he emerges, or maybe it was just in one of our chats, but if he emerges now and has 4 or 5 dominant outings the way he did, I think his last outing, he had like 9 Ks in 6 innings and, you know, just like dealt and went through, you know, suffered some, still doesn't have his secondary stuff the way I think the organization wants, which I think is a big factor in this. But if he shows development now in this next like 2 months, well, not 2 months, well, I'll say through July, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets called up in early August.
Ooh.
Just because he's gone through some of that maturation, some of that growing up, you know, handling all the speculation. I mean, because come on, I mean, like us bloggers and even James Fegan, he's down in the minor leagues twice a month or once a month. That's not typical, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the big story this year is like, is Eloy going to come up? Is Kopech going to come up?
Right. And these guys are getting so much attention down there that I think Kopech has been close enough, and there's been so much media, you know, interest around him that you could say that he's definitely gotten. He's grown in that way too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does string together a really outstanding July that they might call him up in August to get some more innings to play. But if he doesn't, I'm curious whether they're going to call him up in September just to sit on the bench, just to maybe get a few innings, and it would probably be out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I could see that.
Well, that was my question. Do you bring a guy up in September just to have him chill, or do you bring him up to play?
That's what they basically did with Chris Sale.
Right, and they can do that with pitchers, and maybe that's the process with Eloy too, where it's like, all right, let's bring him up and just give him some DH, you know, opportunities here and there, pinch hit. You know, we suck, we're not going into the playoffs, and you're facing the back end of a bullpen that's trying to be saved anyway for a playoff bid. You know, if they're playing Cleveland or something. So, but his answer was, we don't usually do that.
Usually.
He said that's like a rarity. Those weren't his words, but rarity was his words. It's less common that they would do that. Typically, when they bring guys up, they want them to play.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help Kopech, because Kopech is definitely on an innings limit. No matter what they say, he's on an innings limit. They're not going to let him get to 160, 180, 200. No way.
So
that would be irresponsible and asleep at the wheel kind of stuff.
Looking at our recording time, and we have to get to what we talked about in the lead. We gotta skip. We're gonna combine the pickle with the last bats because we're coming up to it.
But the really hot takes.
Before we jump into that,
guys, I might just like edit out all we talked about and just have this as a show.
Because this could be an hour.
Before we jump
days,
into it,
weeks.
Winston-Salem, since we were talking about the farm, played Frederick today.
Frederick Key.
And Lubob went 4 for 6 with a double and 3 RBIs.
Decent.
Yes, he did.
They smoked him. Dude, the Winston-Salem team right now is just absolutely stacked. And Gavin Sheets had 2 home runs.
Gavin Sheets, yes. That's a guy who's got serious bat speed.
First baseman.
Serious bat speed.
Went 2 for 5, but both of them went very far. But yeah, Lubob, solid little 4 for 6 day tonight. It's coming.
And I have 2 things I want to add real quick. One is breaking news. Oregon State won the College World Series. So Nick Madrigal is running around with the NCAA trophy, but that means that he'll probably sign. He definitely will sign, and he'll be there soon. And I wanted to add something about Madrigal. A buddy of mine who's a college baseball coach, Division I, mentioned he's out on the recruiting trail, and he was watching Madrigal. And of all the things we've talked about with Madrigal and size and everything, this is a guy whose opinion I really, really trust. He was like, he actually said, I don't know, but I think the White Sox made a mistake with the number 4 pick.
Oh, jeez. Why? Just because of his size?
Why? Yeah, why?
Just because.
Well, that's what I asked. I was like, why? He's like, he kind of said, and he knows. He's like, he's cold at the plate. He said, I don't know, defensively he's okay, but he's like the size. I don't know if he can. I don't know if he can. I don't know if he can hold up.
Ooh.
And if he has the strength. That's what he said. I don't know if he'll have the strength over a full season.
The size thing, the fielding thing, dude's been churning plays out in this College World Series left and right. But the strength thing does concern me because he's a laser guy. I get that. I'm not expecting 30 home runs out of him, but
and that's the thing is what he was saying. He said arm strength seems low. He's ice cold with the bat, so that could be shaping his opinion in the wrong direction. Said small, period. Worry about strength over a long season and don't see enough thump in the bat.
Oof.
Now,
I'm gonna
what he means is not that he's not a great player, but that at number 4 he was like,
could have been better.
Anyway, let's get to the real conversation we really want to talk about. After I just dumped that bomb in the middle of it,
time to package Madrigal.
I don't want to know his name, but
I know what I'm gonna do. I know who I'm packaging Madrigal with.
Nuke's friend. He just made the list.
We're transitioning. I'm trading Madrigal for you know who.
All right, so basically we're going to skip the other trades. We'll talk about it next show. We're going to go around right now and put together your best package for Mike Trout.
Did you just glazed right over Mike Trout?
I said put together your best package for Mike Trout.
So anticlimactic. It was like Mike Trout.
What a bummer.
Mike Trout.
And here's why. Here's why we're
7 separate times this episode, but yes, Mike Trout.
Here's why we're talking about this. Because Zach Kozar just went down today with a labrum injury. He won't play the rest of the season. Shohei Ohtani's got a UCL issue, quote unquote issue. He might
shut him down.
He might come back and hit. It broke today that he's going to be, on a hitting program. Whatever. They have 14 people on the DL. They're done. They're done. They're
done. They're
12 and a half
41,
games out. They have to trade him, don't they? He's got 3 years or 2 years after this year left on his contract. They have to trade him. So that's why we're talking about it. And here's what I'm putting out there for the White Sox. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
I'm going to start it with a name you won't like.
Well, I think
Lou Bob.
Oh!
Lou Bob has to go.
Don't like that.
Sounds dead.
Don't like that.
I'm going Lou Bob, Basabe, Carlos Rodon, and Zach Birdie.
And yeah, keep going. It's Mike Trout.
I know, and I've got 2 more.
It's Mike Trout. You gotta keep going.
I mean, literally,
you're like halfway there, dude. You're like one major league guy, and everyone's just a prospect.
Shit.
We'll throw in James Shields.
Those about to have a heart attack.
We'll throw in James Shields.
To be honest with you guys, I was not ready for this.
Zoe's not mentally prepared.
I was not mentally
prepared. About to happen these next 10 minutes.
Well, it only gets worse with Aldo.
Oh no, guys! I'm gonna make it worse. That package is like nowhere close.
All right. So seriously, here's what I'm prepared to start on the table with. Lou Bob, and I'll go high on this. Lou Bob, Luis Basabe, Blake Rutherford, Zach Birdie, Carlos Rodon, and James Shields. You can just have him.
They don't want that money. It's
for 6 months. He's only got 1 more year, right?
All right. As I settle down from that, Aldo, why don't you put together a package from the Cubs?
Wait, hold on. Let's stick with the White Sox here. That's still not close.
No, you don't get to do the White Sox because you're just going to pick all the guys I love and you're just going to trade them all. Why don't you just throw my dog in the mix? You might as well. Jesus.
Like, it has to be okay, here's the thing.
Tilson.
Here's the thing. I mean, the White Sox are in a completely different situation than the Cubs. The White Sox are still in a rebuild. The Cubs are, favorites in the NL. Yeah.
And the White Sox have 1 billion prospects.
Yeah.
Right.
So for the Cubs, the Angels are going to want a star back.
Say it.
Do it.
Say it.
So.
Say it.
Don't just hold on to it. Don't do it till the end.
I saw somebody. It has nothing to do with Mike Trout, but I saw someone tweet this out, and they're being completely serious. The Cubs called Chris Bryant went on the DL a couple days ago, so they brought up this prospect that he's been up a couple times. I mean, he's decent season at AAA, and he played third base today or a couple days ago. He made a couple nice plays. Bias has been playing at third. Hap has been playing at third, and the guy goes, "I trade Chris Bryant right now. I feel pretty good with Bo and Bias playing third base." I was like, okay.
Chris Bryant?
But Chris Bryant on the table, number 1. Like the entire Cubs top pitching prospects, Alzolay, even though he hurt his arm, have him. He'll bounce back. He's gonna be a top 100 prospect guy next year.
Hey, Dylan Cease.
There you go. You guys should include him in for Trout.
I thought about it.
Okay, so they're going to want major league talent.
You think they want major league talent?
Well, Brian is still signed until 2021. He's still signed 3 more years. So.
Right.
At a much
controllable.
Controllable. He's going through arbitration, but Mike Trout's going to make $30 million.
No, he signed an extension. He's making $33 million in the last 3 years.
There you go. So they're going to be saving an average of $15 million a year. So
I think
they need pitching.
They need pitching, and I think they need young pitching.
And controllable pitching too, because even at the end they could flip whoever they get for later on.
So who are you throwing out for pitching?
For pitching, so Alzolay, the Cubs aren't deep in pitching, but
don't say John Lester.
No, John. He's
all right. So Chris Bryant,
Alzolay, Mike Montgomery, Bob Gibson,
really
Elmora,
Angle,
Ian Happ. I went too far. That's way too many. That's 3 position players. For the Cubs.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
what I
went too
mean. I
far.
don't think there's a package that the Cubs can put together without like dismantling their whole team.
Exactly. The entire point of this is that it'd be impossible to trade for Mike Trout, even though that's exactly what the Angels should do.
Unless you're the White Sox.
They would laugh the White Sox
An
off the table.
embarrassment of riches.
Here's the package.
Oh my God, Zoe, let me hear it.
Right. You have to be serious. Take this seriously, Zoe. I just traded away Chris Bryant. He won MVP when the Cubs won the World Series. I just traded him away.
Okay.
Zoe's coming in with like Luis Curbelo.
Adam Engel.
So Dylan Cease.
Thompson. Dylan Cease.
Our
only good lefty. Isn't he a lefty?
No, he's a righty.
No,
Dylan Cease, Gavin Sheets, Blake Rutherford.
The Winston-Salem Dash team.
We're just
you could have the whole organization and Omar Vizquel.
And we'll sprinkle in some Dylan Covey just for flavor.
You don't want him. You don't want him.
You don't want Mike Trout. Just say you don't want the best player to ever play.
Am I done? I'm not done. And then we'll throw in Hansen, potential out the window, just ton of potential. And then Zach Collins, and here's the deal breaker: Courtney Hawkins. Let's roll.
Courtney Hawkins is not on like the minor leagues for the White Sox.
No, he's playing for like the Sugarland Yuppies or something down in Texas.
I want to go back to my Cubs trade for Mike Trout. I don't know if they bought. I don't know if the Ricketts bought them yet, or if they're out of it. Give the Angels owners AC Milan. And there you go.
The funny part is we all know that like he's literally worth this.
Yeah.
That Mike Trout is literally worth this, and before he'll be a free agent in 2 years after this.
Yeah.
Just a minute. To
be honest,
Schwarber, Trout.
To get Trout, I mean, I understand we'd have to give up either Lou Bob or Aloy.
You would have to give up.
I mean,
that conversation starts with
Lou. You probably have to like give both.
You throw Lou Bob, like Best Bay, and then you're gonna have to throw in. It's just all pitching. Like you're gonna have to throw in a Dane Dunning. And
he's hurt right now, so he's a question mark.
Well, I'm just the White Sox do theoretically, in all seriousness, they do have the horses. It would just need to be a gigantic package,
and there would have to be, and it's almost like Machado, where you don't have extended control over Trout. You'd better be able to think about how you can re-sign him,
right?
And you're going to be bucking up. Oh man, you're going to be bucking up, and we know that doesn't happen with the White Sox.
Yeah, because Jerry hates us.
Jerry doesn't love us.
We're gonna put this out, and I just want to say, I know I just traded Chris Bryant away, but if it was a 1-for-1, what you have to trade Chris Bryant for Mike Trout?
I don't think there is a 1-for-1.
No, I'm just saying, but if a Cubs fan can't get that through their head, I don't.
Right.
Oh,
exactly.
I literally
don't tweet at me.
I'm
you already.
I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue.
I'm glad we waited to the end of the show to do this, so people have to listen to the whole show to get to the part where they can get mad. And I cannot wait to see the anger thrown your way because you had the audacity to say you would trade Chris Bryant for the greatest baseball player of all time.
Who wants the modern day Mickey Mantle?
He's the greatest baseball player of all time. When he's done playing baseball, he will be the greatest baseball player of all time. And he's still a kid.
I mean, the Cubs won today. Yeah. They didn't have Chris Bryant. Who needs them?
Beat Kershaw. Just give him the World Series ring.
I love you, Chris Bryant. I know you're listening.
I know, and yes,
I would never actually trade you.
Make that very clear. Before we even started the show, Aldo was already in pain, knowing that he would have to explain why he would trade Chris Bryant for Mike Trout. This was not easy for him. Just like if you notice in my package, I did not mention Eloy or Lou Bob.
By the way,
denial.
By the way, Cubs fans, get ready because in 3 years, Chris Bryant's going to be a free agent, and at age 30, there's a chance that the Cubs aren't going to want to resign him.
Well, him and Bryce Harper are going to go play for the new Las Vegas Major League Baseball team that'll be around by then.
The Las Vegas White Sox. The White Sox are going to relocate.
See, I was being funny, and then you just take it to that place.
Wouldn't you like that though? Like, okay, if Chris Bryant left the Cubs with Bryce Harper, who Cubs fans like drool over, and they went to Las Vegas, but it was for the White Sox, wouldn't you kind of?
Yeah, because one, SM Las Vegas, and two, I would if the White Sox moved, I would still be a White Sox fan. It's like when you go to a bar on Sundays, and there's always that super old dude, not super old, but older guy.
They're gonna say a cougar.
He's like, and you're like, why the hell do you care about the freaking Cardinals? And he's like, because I watched them as a kid when they were the Chicago Cardinals. And you're like, oh, okay, so he's this team, and he just went with the move.
So you can say that guy would be pretty old if he's the Chicago Cardinals.
I would go with the White Sox. If they went to a different state, city, whatever, I would go with the White Sox.
Wow.
That's good. That's honor and loyalty.
Have some loyalty for your cities, though.
Stupid. I'm dumb as shit for doing that, but I would go with because it's
staying up for those 9 p.m. first pitch games.
I'm like a dog whose owner just beats the shit out of them because I just have blind loyalty to them, and Jerry just whacks me on the nose with the newspaper constantly.
We're gonna get tweeted at by PETA.
Yeah, I don't. You're an asshole if you do that, and that's why I'm an asshole.
There were no dogs harmed in this episode.
Just look at my Instagram account. All it is me pictures of me and my dog. I love my dog.
Apparently, you were thinking about abusing your dog. I don't know.
I'm just saying that's the worst thing I could think of. And that's why
he is wielding a wand right now.
Yeah, what are you doing? So he has to spell on us.
I love my dog.
I'm mad. I'm trying to think though. If the Sox, let's say hypothetically the White Sox went to Vegas, and we're probably going to cut this out of the show anyways. But if they went to Las Vegas, I would still be a Sox fan. But yeah, you bring up an interesting point. We should write this down for a pickle on another show. Would then I be a Cubs fan too because I am loyal to my city?
Ooh. You would no longer have to pick.
But I still wouldn't go to Wrigley unless it was the playoffs and someone paid for my ticket and beers.
Wrigley's really nice. You can find cheap tickets all the time.
Or would you become a Cato Kalin fan?
Always a Cato Kalin fan.
Cato Kalin, how do we not plug this? Cato Kalin liked the show last week.
That's actually how we advertise the show. Cato Kalin's favorite Chicago baseball podcast.
Guys, we were joking, but we're gonna get him on eventually.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a lot.
And it's gonna be awful but hilarious.
If we can get Cato Kalin on this show.
Don't think it's as hard as you guys think it's going to be.
It's not. That's why. That's the only reason I brought it up. It's going to be like one tweet. Do you want to come on the show? Sure.
Do you want to come on the show? But just to be clear,
can I curse?
You get $0 for doing it because he is going to want some money.
No, well, it'll be like, yeah, we'll like transfer you some Bitcoin after.
Well, yeah, the Steven Seagal coin that he got busted for,
or Dennis Rodman's marijuana
coin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
To Steven Seagal, yes. Rodman legit has like something called pot coin. He wears the shirt all the time. Anyways, that's our show this week. That's our show this week. Thank you if you made it this far. Send us a tweet.
We'll give you a pot coin.
Send you some pot coin.
Tell us what we talked about the last 5 minutes of the show in a tweet, and I will send you something. But for Matt and Aldo Soto, I'm Matt Swasey. They call me Show. It's the end of the show. This is Pinwheels and Ivy. We'll talk to you next week. And we won't talk to you beforehand. So happy 4th of July. Don't blow your fingers off.
America.
All right. Have a good one, Chicago. Be good to each other. All right. I got it at an hour 7.
Changed it up this week.
I have an hour 10, but I think we spent the first like 5 minutes.
Yeah, without the YouTube,
3 minutes.
It'd be like 1:03.
Well, first of all, take the YouTube off live.
Yeah. Wait, did I do that?
No one watching.
Whoops.